Hi everyone, and welcome to a different type of video here. This is going to be a new series here kind of thing, a very informal kind of, set of videos. But basically you can call it an update video kind of thing, or a film log related video if you want. But yeah, for now I've actually not decided the title for this kind of series. But basically, going through some films, mentioning them, maybe mini reviews here, films that I haven't got round to reviewing, or ones that I don't plan on reviewing at least anytime soon, or maybe ever. It's just films, that some people, you ask me maybe, what do you think of this? And sometimes I say, yes, I watched that this year. I never got around to reviewing it, or I don't maybe want to talk about that in a particular, a single video perhaps, a certain film here and there, or simply because I haven't got enough time to kind of review everything that I watch. I watch, at least really a film every day. That could just be a short film on occasion, so I can't review everything simply because I haven't got time. So this kind of series is something that allows me to at least credit the films that I watch, mention them at least. And it's not QMRs, a lot of people do this. I kind of looked at that and I thought, I can take something from that, I can kind of do my own kind of thing on it, and just, this is a kind of a film log, kind of update or series on films, as I say, that I don't plan on reviewing, or just ones that I could review maybe next year or in a few months. But for now, I kind of just mention them, say my brief thoughts on them, and also ones that I do plan on reviewing that I've watched recently, perhaps, just so it's kind of updating you as a viewer, on this. And it's also kind of to be a bit more honest. Certain films, maybe that I'll just be purely 100% honest, that are really, really loved films, that I maybe watch now and then. I don't like them, or I think maybe, I might not review that kind of thing. This is a kind of a thing where I can just mention them at least, and just be honest, be more honest. I think this is kind of a reason for doing this, and just maybe not dedicate a review to them if I don't have too much to say about them, but just be honest and say my own opinions on them, and just just at least credit the films. So that's what this is, my first one. And this basically covers October and November of this year, because I can't do the whole year in one. But I will plan on going back, to kind of cover the other months perhaps, and just going forward, yes, this is what it's for. And starting off, of course, one here that I do plan on reviewing. I've got my laptop in front of me as well. Yes, The Dark Knight Rises. That's just one that I will get to eventually, hopefully very, very soon. Absolutely love the film, of course, and it's just simply one that I kind of put it off at first, reviewing it straight away on the night, and it's just been kind of backlogged. That's the only reason for that, but we'll get to that definitely, of course. Very divisive film, but yeah, I love it. This is the one, we have it here. Next up is Intolerance. This, or Intolerance, love struggle throughout the ages. Some call it Through the Ages, but yes, D.W. Griffith, of course. I think most people have heard of this guy. Birth of a Nation, a few other films as well that he made. A lot of them divisive. This is, of course, this is a film that I bought quite a while ago, and yes, basically, master of cinema, of course. And this is the one that I did plan on reviewing, but this was a problematic experience for me. I think. It really, really appealed to me, purely because I love silent films, I love epic films, and this is exploring love. This is romance. This is a big, big epic film, big in scope, very experimental, of course, going throughout a massive time period, covering many, many different time periods, all in one. And it's a silent film, and I was so hyped for this. The acclaim this has got, but I didn't like this film. Just being honest, this is a film, that after I watched it, and it was quite a grueling experience. I didn't like this film personally. I think I can understand how many people love it, and there's elements that I did love in this film. The cinematography, of course, being one, and just there was a battle scene I remember quite a way into the film. I loved. I think it was just great. It really was. Maybe a bit overdone in terms of just the length of it, but yes. Other than that, and maybe at first kind of things and moments here and there, I didn't like this film. I think it's definitely under par in my opinion, just for my connection to the film. And I love silent films. I love epics. I love love related films when they're done well. But I think it's just the style of it. D.W. Griffith, and the way it's directed, and put together. I found it very hard going. I didn't find really too many of the characters compelling. I just didn't connect to the film. It didn't engage me really throughout, and that's a shame. And I just found it a very, very difficult experience. Just really, really, it felt like quite an ordeal, and that's a shame. I really wanted to love this film, but that's just me being honest. Intolerance here. I'd recommend it. I think everyone should see it. It's unique, very experimental. Wanted to love it, but yes, and there's so much put into this. The extras, the sets, of course, which the sets are maybe masterful actually. Just overall as a film, is the way in its storytelling, even visually at times. I think I just didn't like it. Didn't hate the film, but it was one that I was very disappointed in. And yeah, just my thoughts on that. I don't really think I'll respond maybe to. Who knows, if I don't respond to D.W. Griffith's films, that's fine. That's fine by me. And quite a few people don't. It seems just for me personally, I think. But yes, that was a really interesting one. Yes. Next up, a very quick mention here, the original John Carpenter Halloween. I like this film. I watched it, yes, I've got it here, the 19th of October, and basically, yes, I didn't plan on reviewing this, purely because I don't really see the point in my thoughts getting voiced on this film in an actual review. I think, it's a film that so many people have talked about, and I don't think it's a great film, personally. I think it's a good film, with some greatness in there. I used to like this more as a kid, and I never say that usually, and that's purely because now, as the state I'm in and the kind of way I've grown up maybe over the years, and how I've kind of my thoughts towards certain films, particularly certain slasher films, I just don't feel as strongly for, in terms of just the slasher genre is one of them things that I don't quite get excited for, like I did maybe back when I was younger. Maybe it appealed to me more, just in general. Hard to explain, but it's something that basically I think it really takes a great piece of a great director, and it does take certain circumstances to really elevate this genre. There are some really good ones, enjoyable ones. I do enjoy the slasher genre. I enjoy every genre really, but it's something that to get a real great slasher, or a masterpiece is quite rare, and I don't think I really really look out for slashers too much, at this point. And just Halloween is a film that I think Michael Myers is a very very interesting character. I think the whole kind of build up to him is great. Donald Pleasance is great in this film, very campy but great, and I think the music by John Carpenter is great, no doubt about that. The cinematography is at times great, but the characters in this film and the acting, and just my connection to the film, maybe just seeing it now that I'm an adult, the warmth of the film, I don't I just don't connect to this film like some people do, and that's just a rare occasion here, I think. But I did watch the very recent one, of course, the one that just kind of came out, and I think that was also kind of decent. I prefer the original, so that's something to say there. I did prefer the original, and I watched I watched it a week after the 2018 version. I got it here. That was decent. I think that was also very flawed, but yes, Halloween itself, the original, is just in terms of atmosphere and stuff, and visuals and the music, I really really enjoy it. But just for the actual story, the characters, and just my engagement in this picture, I think it's a good film. Personally, I understand how loads of people love the film. It's a good film, but it's not a great film for me, just in my opinion. Like maybe The Thing is, by John Carpenter. That's a masterpiece in my opinion. But Halloween, yes, a good film. Next up is The Wicker Man, the original, not the Nicolas Cage one. Haven't got around to that yet. But yes, of course, Christopher Lee. This is such a good film. You could say I love this film actually. It's a real disturbing film with so much atmosphere here. I think this is this is the type of horror thriller kind of film that I really look out for. So unique, just so compelling. It kind of takes a hold of you and reels you in very gradually. I do have some flaws with the film, but overall, this is certainly a very impressive film. And I watched this of course last month as well, and just I think the main protagonist is so compelling. I think Christopher Lee, as always, really is great. Here, and he was such a great actor, one of the best. And the location, I could go on and on, but this film certainly recommend it. And I watched this last year as well. I think this time I picked up on even more. It's such a unique film, very weird film, but that's things that I really think it's great that it is kind of really bizarre at times. This whole cult and the way they're portrayed, really it's kind of like a documentary at times, you could say. Just so disturbing, so effective, and it is very charming and just very peaceful. I love the journey that our protagonist goes on. I love, while it's a very disturbing ending, I love the ending. I think this is probably a great horror film actually. It's kind of bordering great, very good, but very much like this one. So yes, definitely a horror film that I would recommend there. And I don't plan on reviewing it really, but yeah, so at least a mention there. Next up is Animal House. Yes, now this is a great film in my opinion. I love this film, and I'd been looking forward to this for some time, of course, and I'd been putting it off, and finally got around to it. Yes, a few weeks ago, and certainly such a charming film. This is a real, just a comfort film. I can't wait to rewatch this. And John Belushi is absolutely brilliant in this film. I loved him in this film, and I just think the setting, the direction, of course. Wow, wow, so good. It just really is a great film. At times it's a bit messy, maybe a bit unfocused, and it's the narrative is not something that I think is perfect. In terms of just they're just not meaning to be a film where the narrative is a certain way, and I think it is maybe quite loose. That's the thing. I can understand people not taking to the film as much because it is more of a loose narrative. But that does allow for the comedy to be more sporadic, and actually the set pieces, the slapstick, all these things, the characters, I loved this film. I really did. I think it would be on my favourite films list. Not extremely high, but it's certainly on there, and just so good. Really something else, and just wow. John Landis, of course. Really such an impressive director. American Werewolf, of course, I love, and this film I also love. So yes, Animal House. I want to mention there. Maybe I'll review that film at some point, but not at the moment. I haven't really got the time. Next up is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? This is a film that I do want to review. Of course, it's a Coen Brothers film, and I loved it. I think it's one of their most charming films. Actually, I think it really was a surprise actually, and it starts off very strange. It's a film that really grows on you as you watch it. I think at least it did for me, and it's so enjoyable. It's so charming. Really full of heart, and just full of, I think, just a magical feeling. Very dark at times, and of course, certain things in the film very quite dark, graphic, quite disturbing. But yes, I think I'll get to that. I'll get to the film. I think can't wait to review that, and just another Coen Brothers film that I loved, and yes, just great. Really was, and yes. Next up is a film that I picked up a while ago, and yes, I was very much looking forward to this. It was roughly 2 weeks ago that I saw this, and it is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Ang Lee, of course. This is a film that I really look forward to, and certainly Ang Lee. He's Life of Pi, Brokeback Mountain, films that are among my favourites. Certainly stunning films. Hulk, I didn't like, his version of Hulk, but this film I think is good. I did like it. I thought it was very impressive, and I don't plan on reviewing this one, but yeah, it was an interesting film. I think the cinematography, the way the action is put together, stand out. Really something else, and just yes, Chow Yun Fat is really great in the film. I wish actually he was in it more. What this film does, it starts off, I think probably great actually, or very good, but it kind of, I found it went off a bit too much, and it kind of, I found it a bit meandering, and I didn't enjoy it as much as the film went on. The final act was quite disappointing to me, and yeah, I think it's a good film with some great action, great cinematography, great performances. Just not one of my favourite films or anything like that, but certainly, this is some pretty amazing action, and I think the kind of spiritual feeling it has at times, really is going for something very quite meaningful. Just not a film that I loved, but definitely did enjoy it. So yes, Crouching Tiger. And next up we have a quick mention, 300, Zack Snyder, of course. I like it. I do actually like it. Maybe I've said before I wasn't a big fan. I'm not a massive fan, but yeah, I think I kind of realised how much it's kind of a quite enjoyable actually for me. It's just a campy kind of swords and sandals kind of film. It's just kind of over the top kind of action film here, and it's just just very enjoyable at times. I think Gerard Butler, is very good in the film, and actually the cinematography, not something I usually kind of look for this kind of style, and it's something that it's definitely not for everyone. But actually, I think the cinematography at times is really quite unique, and there's certain moments in the film with sunsets, perhaps the way they're portrayed and captured, and brought to it, that I was kind of quite wowed by, perhaps. It's something that actually maybe I kind of underestimated this film in a few instances, and I do actually really like the film now. So yes, 300. I don't plan on reviewing that. I haven't got the time, but certainly yes. Definitely be a kind of a 4-star kind of film, rounded, if you want my opinion. And yes, very good film, definitely. And then we have a few more left here. First up, a rewatch of the Grand Budapest Hotel. Once again, great film, probably even better than I remembered. That film is so wonderful. I love it. Not much more to say there. Of course, Wes Anderson is a genius to me, and that is just such a great film. Wonderful little film there. Nearing the end of the video now, we have Sin City. Robert Rodriguez, of course, and just, this is a film I was really looking forward to, and got the Blu-ray here, of course, and yes, very, very good. I think this is a very enjoyable film, and the art style, this is great. I think visually this film is something else. Actually, it really, just so unique. I've never seen a film like this, and I think the first 45 minutes I loved. I didn't love the film overall. I think it's a very good film. Mickey Rourke, once he went out of it, and it kind of veered off into different stories. It's a strange film. Maybe I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if it stayed focused on a particular story. But for what it kind of was going for, I think a very good film with some great action, great acting, I think, and just the art style and the way the story is visually told. It's just so good, and very good film. Bruce Willis is in the film as well, one of my favourite actors. Very, very enjoyable to see him, and yes, I think the middle of the film was the worst part, and picked up again once. Bruce Willis was more focused on here, but yeah, it's a film it's kind of a bit messy for me. It's not something that I love throughout, but certainly I would recommend this. Very unique. My favourite Robert Rodriguez film is From Dusk Till Dawn. I love that film. It's one of my favourite films of all time, and this isn't as good as that, for example, but definitely, he's a very interesting director, and this is, of course, Tarantino is a kind of guest director as well, so that's very, very interesting there, and this is a very good film in my opinion. Certainly greatness at times in there, and yes, the last couple here, simply, Once Upon a Time in the West, have it here. Of course, I rewatched it last Thursday, and yes, I plan on re-reviewing this film. You know, this will be the last one to mention here, really, but I plan on re-reviewing it, and I think just my excuse to talk about the film again. It was one of my first reviews that I'd done. You know, if you remember, you can go back there to see that. But maybe I wasn't too pleased with some of these early reviews. You know, and I think I do want to re-review it, and that's just say more about the film. And yes, the plan is to watch this. It was to watch this and Once Upon a America, of course, just on the run up to The Irishman. So I watched this the other day. I plan on watching The Irishman first now, actually, and reviewing that, and then going back to Once Upon a Time in America, and of course re-reviewing that, and that'll be really great to do. It's kind of this whole this event, because of course most people, it's very related, The Irishman and that film. And I just thought I'm not going to watch America without watching West, kind of thing. So yeah, that's just my excuse to watch them again and talk about them again. So yeah, it should be pretty amazing to do. And yes, that's about it for now. Wanted as well, I watched the other day. Just a quick one, put it in there. Very good film, actually, very underrated in my opinion. Very enjoyable film. But yes, the plan is to watch The Irishman very soon, of course, and give that a review. That should be great, hopefully. And yes, going back to America, I'll be doing that as well. So it's this big event with films that I think kind of watching that are related to that film. And of course, I will be. Yes, this series I hope that I will be doing every so often, just to kind of update you viewers, of course. And yes, and instead of kind of just not talking about certain films I've watched at all, not. If I've not got time for the reviews, perhaps, as I've said, just to mention them and just to kind of update you on my thoughts on these films, and maybe ones that I plan on reviewing. So yes, of course, I've said there are ones that I plan on reviewing quite soon, of course. And yes, this is just a quick video to kind of go through them and kind of just collectively talk about certain films that I haven't got time to kind of do separate reviews on, perhaps, and videos on. But yes. Hope you enjoyed. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. And yes, as I've said, there's certain films here that I don't love, that are very popular and stuff, but just my take on it. It's not everyone's not going to kind of agree on everything. And yeah, it'd just be interesting to see your thoughts on these films, and just to get a discussion going. A lot of films here covered. I will be putting them in the description, of course, just to kind of keep it so you don't kind of, it's not as hard to kind of keep track of the ones I've mentioned here. But yes, this is a kind of a series that I think I'm going to be doing, just because it's great to kind of talk about most of the films that I watch instead of kind of just the ones that I review. Perhaps I never get the time, unfortunately, to kind of review everything I watch. This is kind of a good series to kind of do here. And yes, tell me your thoughts in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.